Hello everyone, welcome back to Sam Bibles. I am super privileged to be back again with another video. I'm sorry guys for the lack of consistency. I've been super busy planning out some other videos with some guests that will be coming in very soon. And I've just been asking the Lord what He wants me to create next, especially on my main channel and all that. And yeah, Sam Bibles is something that I'm really going to take forward and seriously, just as Sam plays as well, for this next new year and for this year, of course. So, recently, I really felt a strong pull to focus on relationships and why God will provide the right relationship and why many relationships actually may not be from God. And this is something that God has just called me to pursue and make lately. I feel like so many people in this world are trying to search for love, trying to search for this peace and fulfillment in their hearts. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of my experience and my journey in this kind of love life. So, I'm single. Most of you would probably know that. I am single. I've probably never been more single in my life right now. And most of my family actually are in a relationship, so I need to think right now. So there are 7 people in my family, 8 including me, and let's just say 6 people in that family range are in a relationship, which obviously including my parents, both my sisters, and 2 of my brothers are in a relationship. So one of my brothers actually are married. One of my brothers recently proposed and she said yes, so they are getting married, which is amazing. They proposed last week. And my other brother, he is not in a relationship. He used to be, and then of course we've got me. So there's 2 people in my whole family that are not in a relationship, which is me and my brother. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I am 16, so I'm not really too fast on it. The crazy part is most of my family literally have babies. They have kids. I'm an uncle of 7, literally, and there's more to come. There's like 2 more babies coming right now as I speak from my family, and it's just crazy that I'm an uncle of 7 at 16. Like, this is insane. And I'm gonna be honest to you guys, I think to myself, and I'm like, I can't believe my whole family, well, most of my family anyway, is in a relationship. They're getting married, or they are married. Both my sisters are married, by the way, and they're all having babies. They're all having kids. They're all living a whole new life with new families. And it makes me think to myself, what am I doing wrong? You know, why am I not in a relationship? Like, I think to myself, they're getting married. They're having babies. I'm not even in a talking stage with anyone. And it makes me think to myself, what could I possibly be doing wrong? And I clicked. I recently had a huge realization, and it is simple, that it is not in God's timing for me to be in one yet. I want to tell you guys a funny story. So, last year I was looking pretty actively for a relationship. I'm going to be transparent, okay? I'm not going to lie. I was looking for one, and I have kind of been looking. I actually gave up. I'm not looking for one anymore. I'm just letting God take the wheel. But I remember talking to this girl at a youth group, okay? So this is a pretty big youth group. In my city, it's one of the biggest ones in my whole city. And I talked to this girl who was sitting on the couch, okay? And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna talk to her. I said, hey. I think she just said hi. And I said, you know, what's your name? And she just kind of went blank, and she just told me her name. She didn't ask me back or anything. Very dry response. Which is okay, you know, no hate. I have nothing but love for people. And she was looking around, like, she was confused, like, did you get dared to say that? She was looking around, like, around the room like that. And I was like, okay, I'm just dropping it. And I said, oh, okay. And I dropped it. And I remember I went to a youth conference around that time, okay? Well, it was last year. I went to a youth conference, and at that time, I felt, as I said, I felt like I wanted to get into a relationship, a godly one, right? And I went to this youth conference, and I'm going to be a little bit distracted. I felt like I was a little bit distracted. You know, I was praising God, I was worshipping, reading our Bibles, And I would look around, you know, I would try to talk to girls. I would try to say, hey, how are you doing? And I'm going to be honest, I thought, you know what, maybe God has someone for me here. Let's just say my plans got ruined. There was not a single person there. And I feel like I got distracted, you know, I regret looking for that person there. And so now, next time I go to this conference, which will be this year, I am not looking for anyone. I am not thinking about any girls or thinking of getting into a relationship. I am letting this all in God's timing. I am focusing 100% in God's time. Because I got distracted. You know, I got sad. I was thinking, why does no one want to be with me? And this is the plot twist. It's not God's timing yet. Okay, that whole story I just told you, the reason why I did not find anyone is because it was not God's timing. God's timing is different to our timing. So I want to say, my advice to you, and what has helped me, is maybe the reason you are struggling to find the right partner in your life, maybe the reason you are struggling to find that godly woman, or that godly man, whoever you know, if you're a woman watching this video or you're a man, my advice to you is it's not in God's timing yet. If it's not in God's timing and you get into a relationship, it's probably out of God's will. And I want to tell you that you can improve in this time and era in your life. I got a Bible verse for you guys. The verse comes from Isaiah 60:22, and it says, at the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Okay, so next time you start stressing, you know, next time you start thinking to yourself, like, dang, why am I not in a relationship? Why am I struggling to find that person? You know, I am constantly looking, and it's just not happening. Look at that verse. Because God's timing is completely different to ours. And I can promise you that His timing is way more better. His timing is absolutely perfect. In His timing, it will happen. And I promise you, it's better than our timing. It's better than any timing that anyone will ever imagined or ever planned for you. God's timing, and God knows what's best. God knows what is better for you and I. So what are some things that we can do in this time period when we are simply single, we are looking for, you know, a partner for our lives? What can we do in this time period? Well, there is a lot of things that we can do. Number one is to grow in God. Okay, so these are the things that I personally do. I want to give you guys a little rank of what I've been doing in my life at the moment and what God's called me to do. So the number one thing that we should all be doing, and the number one thing that I do, is growing in God and focusing on my relationship purely in God. You see, when you put God first in everything you do, when you focus on Jesus, number one, that's when things actually start to move on in your life. That's when things start to go on plan, according to plan, and that's when things will be added into your life. And we find this verse in Matthew 6:33. I know it off by heart. I absolutely live by it, and I love it. It says, but seek first the kingdom of God and all His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Okay? I love it because God's not calling us to go out, do all these things, and boom, expect it just to happen. God is calling us to purely focus on Him, number one in our lives, above the gaming, above even our career. Okay? God is our source, not our career. God is our source, not our money. God is our source, not our relationships or friendships. When we start focusing on our calling, when we start focusing on what He has in store and focusing on Him number one in our lives, He will provide for us. He will make it happen. Okay, now number two, and that is my career. Okay, and also what God has called me to do and pursue. God has called me personally to make videos. God's called me to spread the gospel. My advice for you guys is to work on your career and work on what God has called you to make and do and pursue next. Okay? Because God has called us to grow in these things, in our career. You know, I heard this quote the other day, and it was, if you were a girl, would you date yourself? Right? If you were a girl, would you date yourself? And I was being honest with myself and I was thinking, like, dang, like, when you put that in perspective, I probably wouldn't. You know, I feel like I go on my phone way too much, number one. I play video games quite a lot. And I feel like I'm not a man that good enough, to be honest. And it motivated me to change. It motivated me to, 1, become fit. Number 2, to make more money. Number 3, become less lazy, focusing on the calling that God has individually given me and uniquely. And it comes into many other factors, right? And so I want to ask you right now, if you were a girl or if you were a man, depending who you are, would you date yourself? It's just a simple question. Would you date yourself? Right? And if it's not, then go ahead and change. You know, become the person that you would date. Before you go out trying to find that man of God or that woman of God, you need to become someone you would date before you go out to find someone. I feel like you need to lock in with yourself, purely have a good relationship with God, because you need to ask yourself questions like, am I financially capable of providing for this person? Especially if I have plans to, get married and have a family with her. Am I capable of providing for them? Am I capable of building her up closer to God and the rest of the family to God? Am I capable of taking them to church? You need to be doing these things for yourself first. Bro, there's a fly in my chair. Get away. I don't know why there's so many flies. It's like the summertime. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, point I was saying is you need to become the man or that woman that person needs. Okay? And your motive should be doing it for God alone. When we do that, that's amazing. But you can have other motives as well, 100%. Number 1 should be God. Okay, a third thing that I personally focus on myself is my character. I want to build my character. I want to learn more who I am, more on what God has for me, and I just want to become a better person. I just want to follow God, read the Bible. I want to break bad habits that I am dealing with. Okay, I've had to break many bad habits in my life. There are still things in my life that I'm trying to break off, especially for this New Year's. I'm trying to break off things that might push people away from me. Okay, so I'm focusing on my character. I'm focusing on who I am to become the best version of myself, especially that someone else would love. And so something I would ask you right now is, if you were the opposite gender, would you date yourself? It's just a simple question, because it will either spark you and say, hey, actually I would, or hey, no, I wouldn't. So it should motivate you to change and become a better person. But the point of this video, and the plot of this video, is that's all in God's timing. Don't waste your single years. Don't waste your single years yearning to get into a relationship and wasting time on actually building yourself, building your character, building your career, building yourself financially. It comes into factors, and we as Christian men need to do better. There's things that I have grown significantly on, but there's still things that I need to work on. And I understand that right now is a time for me not to get into a relationship. I understand why God won't give me one, because there are still things I want to work on. My relationship with God, it still needs working on every day. I read my Bible every day, well, I try to. But there's still more. There's still more things that I can work on financially. I'm not a millionaire yet. Financial. The truth is, both of you guys need to be willing to change, because it goes both ways. That man, that woman, it goes both ways. Now for the man, of course, there is more responsibility. You gotta provide, you gotta be willing to provide, you gotta change. You gotta spiritually get closer to God, and you gotta lead your family to get closer to Christ, as I said. And when you put God first, when you put Jesus in the center of your marriage, when you put Jesus in the center of whatever you do, it will succeed and grow magically. So thank you all for watching this video. It actually does come to an end of this video. I'm gonna get going. Please make sure to like and subscribe, as it does mean a lot. Sam Bible's out. And remember, it's not on your timing, it's in God's timing. So thank you all for watching this video. It is in the perfect timing that is in God's name. See you next video. Peace out.